So we've arrived. It's 20 to 2. It feels a lot later. We've had quite an amazing journey here. The flight was delayed a bit. It was a long flight, very busy flight. When we finally got to Freetown, it just went, we're in Africa. Suddenly we're in Africa. The helicopter ride was something I will never forget. An old Russian helicopter, windows open, complete darkness, just scooting over the ocean. Incredibly noisy, packed full, really hot. A very tense 7 minutes. Everyone on that flight had their eyes closed and was just hoping that we were going to land. As the bags came off, then we had to wait for them to be laid out, and then we had to take our bags, but our bags hadn't been marked because they'd run out of cards, so we just had to take our bags, and everyone was a bit confused, but we just sort of walked off with them. And then we drove over what we're going to get to know as roads, which are tough. The truck is basic, but the guys are really good. So hopefully we'll have a relatively bearable 5-hour journey tomorrow up to Kambia. It turns out today is a public holiday, so we're not going to be able to do any of the things that we were hoping to do in Freetown on this day. So we can't go to the bank, we can't go to the supermarket, and we can't go and see the Ministry of Health to have a chat with them about what we're doing. So we're going to head up to Kambia, cut our losses, try and get up there mid-afternoon and try and set up base there. I guess this is probably the start of the way things work in Sierra Leone.
Freetown, oh Freetown, Freetown, oh Freetown. At any time in this meantime, you're invited to come to Freetown on the west coast of Sierra Leone, on the west coast of Africa. At any time in this meantime, come to Freetown, na 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 na.
So it's Thursday morning. We, as you can probably tell by the surroundings here, we're in Kambia. It was an incredibly long journey yesterday. We travelled for 5.5 hours across Freetown and then across the jungle. The roads can only be described as partings in the jungle. It's the most undulating mud you've ever seen. If you haven't got a four-wheel drive, you've absolutely no hope of getting here. Part of it was quite good, part of it was on the West African Highway, which is currently being built, so that was kind of like a dual carriageway sized road, but just with no tarmac. The base here is fab. It's comfortable. The staff are all really fantastic. We've got our driver, we've got Moses, we've met a guy called FT, they're all great, part of the team here. And then we went to Hassan's bar. He was very pleased to see James, and I'm sure we'll be going back to Hassan a lot. He's going to become a fixture, I think, on our daily routine. And it meant that we could have a walk through Kambia as well, do the walk. You do somewhat feel like Princess Anne walking around, everyone pointing and waving, and you just kind of walk proud and say hello and be a good ambassador, I suppose. So it's Friday the 21st already. It's getting late, the generator's going, so hence the poor light. We've had a really interesting couple of days acclimatising in Kambia. Yesterday was a bit of a washout. We were waiting for Israel to arrive from Freetown, and there was a big explosion in the financial district, so that threw the city into chaos. So unfortunately he couldn't get here yesterday. We did manage to visit the hospital in the morning for a couple of hours, which was obviously very enlightening for me. We went and had a look around all the wards. We went on the male ward, and there was 4 guys in there. One had malaria and had been given loads of herbs and was off his face. They were waiting for him to basically come down off everything before they could treat him. Another guy had gunshot wounds, and another guy had a problem with his scrotum. So Israel did arrive this morning, which was fantastic. He's going to be an absolute linchpin of this project, as he was on the previous project. We had a really good meeting with him this morning. It was good that we had some time on our hands to really go through things in detail. So today we finally managed to get out to some of the clinics. We went to Barmoy and Masella. The morning was slightly slow. We were hoping to leave by 10. We ended up leaving at 2. The truck broke a bush on one of its shock absorbers, and also our driver Murray, his wife, was taken into hospital early this morning, suspected malaria. So that threw things out a bit this morning, but we did get off this afternoon. The journey, as expected, was rough, but when we got to Barmoy, the reception was huge. There was singing, lots of chanting, and Israel was great. He talked to all the community, told them what we're going to be doing with the film, got everyone on side, went and found some actors, told them about it, and then he's going to go and rehearse things with them over the weekend. And then we travelled over to Masella, and Masella was a completely different experience to Barmoy. There wasn't many people around when we arrived, and we sat in a room. Gradually people heard that we'd arrived and came in, and then there was a really formal meeting of the elders and us and all the staff, where the elders spoke and Moses translated for us, and they really spoke with a lot of passion, a lot of sincerity, and thanking James and Kambia Appeal for all the work they've done and the continued support they hope to get. So that was really moving. But then of course the singing did start, and there was plenty of joy, and we got sung to, and James took loads more photos. And so Israel will now be going off and doing those rehearsals with the cast, and hopefully get them up to speed on the stories. So yesterday was a rest day. James had to go and see the Paramount Chief to try and iron over a bit of politics that's going on here at the hospital and in the town. That seemed to go quite well, which is good. We spent the afternoon at Barmoy Luma Market, which was incredibly hot, quite big, and selling almost everything really, everything from trainers right through to fish and fruit and veg. Today started well. We had a really good breakfast. James rustled up some pancakes, which was fantastic. But soon after we finished our pancakes, M1 arrived at the compound to tell us that Moses had been in an accident on his motorbike. No one really knew how Moses was. He was just at the hospital, so obviously we kind of assumed the worst. He seems fine. He's a bit shaken. So while being up at the hospital, it was interesting to see some of this tension that's around at the moment. A lot of the senior staff seem to be getting harassed by a few of the locals. Lots of accusations of corruption and minor petty things. It's very difficult to understand the full extent of what's going on, how serious it is, whether it is a storm in a teacup or whether it's something a lot more serious. The senior staff are now leaving for Christmas, and it's clear that they're not planning to come back. Since MSF have left, there's no longer free treatment there, and I think that's causing an enormous problem. The most senior doctor who runs the place, Dr. Kande, has already left, and he's saying he's not coming back until the intimidation stops and he is left to get on with his job. It's a very confusing situation. There's a lot of shouting up there, a lot of very confused people. I think just a lack of communication seems to be really hindering the hospital. Later today we're heading into Freetown. We're going to pick Clare and Toby up, and they're flying in today. So we've got the unfortunate prospect of the 5-hour journey there and back again to look forward to this afternoon and tomorrow, and hopefully Moses will be able to come with us. We're going to pick up some supplies in Freetown as well.